On the 22nd of October 2021, Nick Merckx was gearing up to host the highly anticipated MFAM Gauntlet tournament for Apex Legends when he dropped a surprising announcement regarding Daltoosh's participation in the event.
Cat Daddy, Daltoosh is not an option. I don't know how to tell you that other than just telling you that. I don't know what happened. I don't know who he pissed off or what's been done. But Daltoosh is literally not an option for anything. Not to play, not to cast, not to nothing.
And just a few weeks prior, on the 7th of October 2021, a mere 4 days before the Apex Legends Twitch Rivals event, Daltoosh would post a tweet claiming that EA labeled him as ineligible to compete, even though he was already a part of a team that was going to compete in the event. However, he quickly deleted the tweet just 5 minutes after posting it and would post another tweet that was a bit less likely to get people pissed off in hopes of being on EA's good side. Despite Daltoosh's professional reaction in both the Twitch Rivals and MFAM Gauntlet incidents, it was evident that something suspicious had been going on behind the scenes that the public was unaware of. So when his fans came to this realization near the end of 2021, it sparked one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in Apex Legends history, which till this day still confuses many Apex Legends fans as to why EA hates Daltoosh. Why was Daltoosh blacklisted, and more importantly, what did Daltoosh do in order to get blacklisted in the first place? Well, after reviewing every single major incident Daltoosh was involved in since the start of his Apex Legends career back in 2019, we could get a pretty good idea as to why EA made the decision to blacklist Daltoosh from Apex Legends, despite him being one of the biggest names in the Apex Legends community at that time. This video will explain everything about this topic. And to kick it off, it all starts way back when Daltoosh first started getting noticed for his high skill and his slightly controversial yet funny personality. Back when Daltoosh first started out, he didn't care much about how people perceived him. His main focus was grinding Apex Legends and enjoying himself while doing it, and unsurprisingly, this would attract many people to his daily live streams over on the Twitch platform. You see, in the beginning of Apex Legends, a majority of the people that were blowing up all had one thing in common. They were exceptional at the game. You had people like NRG Dizzy, who was considered to be the best player on Apex, blow up insanely fast due to his high skill. Diego Soros, who once had the most kills on the game, grow from a medium-sized streamer to an average of 2,000 viewers per stream, and Asu, who was on track to become the best player on Apex Legends and would become one of the biggest streamers on the game before quitting. But you see, before the masses knew who Daltoosh was, there were very few people who offered more than just high skill in content creation. It seemed like everyone who was uploading content on Apex Legends was extremely good at the game, almost to the point where being good at Apex was starting to get a bit saturated. But it wasn't until the public would hear about a person named Daltoosh when fans of Apex Legends would be offered more than just high skill. Unlike many streamers in the Apex community in late 2019, early 2020, Daltoosh possessed two certain quality traits when put together would make him more than just unique. Being good on Apex was one thing back in 2019, but being a natural entertainer while also being extremely good at the game was completely unheard of. That was Daltoosh. And owing to that, Daltoosh didn't need to be a good player in order to maintain his viewership on Twitch and YouTube, because most of his viewers would mainly watch his content to crack a laugh or enjoy the vibe, which no one else had offered at that time. So to label Daltoosh as anything other than unique back when Apex first came out would just straight up be an understatement, because once he started to become recognized, in a short period of time, he would go from averaging 8 viewers on Twitch to an average of over 1,000 viewers per stream. And as time continued to go on, he consistently kept on hitting new milestones at an extremely fast pace. He would go from being an independent streamer to joining Soar Gaming. He would then hit 100k followers on Twitch, then 200k followers. Then he would make enough money to move out of his old house and into a new apartment with a professional setup.
What up, gamers? Welcome to the crib. First things first, directly to the right, we got the stream room, the Daltoosh sign, the scuffs, the Kodak, the G Fuel. You guys have seen the back setup before.
And when everything seemed to be going perfect in Daltoosh's life, and he was in the most comfortable position he had ever been in up to this point in his career, he would get cancelled for being racist. And this would allegedly be the leading cause on why EA had blacklisted him from Apex Legends. You see, Daltoosh had made one of the most common mistakes big streamers make once they become popular. He had become less cautious of the words that would come out of his mouth live on stream, simply due to the fact that the number of people who supported him significantly outnumbered the amount of people who hated him at that time. But what Daltoosh failed to realize was that once you make it to the level he was now on, even though it seemed like he was loved and supported by the entire community, even the most insignificant things said live on his stream can result in crucial complications that can severely destroy his reputation. And this would lead to the 29th of June 2021, the day Daltoosh would make the notorious golf joke live on stream.
Look at that, bro. That man is 2 races at once. You guys see that? Up top, he thinking like 401k. Right here, he thinking like nay.
Now, the reason why this joke made him seem like he was racist was because of the stereotypes he used when describing the shades of the golfer's face. He described the white side of the face as someone with a 401k, while describing the dark side of the face as nene, a viral dance move from back in 2015. Now, there were mixed opinions on whether or not this joke was racist or not. To some people, they felt as if it was casual racism, while on the other hand, to other people, it didn't seem like that big of a deal at all. Just another controversial joke made by someone who is known to make controversial jokes all the time.
Up top, he thinking like 401k. Right here, he thinking like nay.
You could begin to understand why this was seen as something controversial, as this is...
No, I don't. No, I don't. What is controversial about it? That shit was funny as hell.
And later on, when Daltoosh would apologize for making the joke, a large number of people who wanted to see him cancelled for being racist would accept his apology and would be willing to move on and forget this ever happened. But now you might be asking yourself, if Daltoosh was cancelled for being racist, then would later on be forgiven by the masses, why would EA blacklist him for making this joke? Well, that's because the golf incident was just one small piece of the puzzle when figuring out why Daltoosh was blacklisted in the first place, since if you factor in another controversial statement Daltoosh made in the previous year, not only would it make the golf joke from 2021 sound significantly worse, but if you were to notice the correlation between the time Daltoosh would make this statement live on stream and the time EA would decide to publicly associate with him, you would start to understand why EA would do everything in their power to never associate themselves with Daltoosh ever again. So with that being said, let's jump back to the year 2020, the year when Daltoosh really started to become a household name in the Apex Legends community for more than just being good at the game, and a time when he was on good terms with the company known as EA. For the most part, 2020 was a good year for Daltoosh. Not only would he hit 300k followers on Twitch in this year, but he was starting to base his content around his personality rather than just being another rank grinder on Apex. Instead of trying to prove that he is a highly skilled Apex Legends player, he started to take a slightly unusual route for someone of his size, the casting route. He would regularly start to host tournament watch parties rather than wanting to compete in them, and almost instantly, signs that Daltoosh was meant to be an entertainer started becoming a bit more obvious to the general public. And watch party after watch party, casting proved to be the most promising and rewarding route for Daltoosh to take back in 2020, since he was hitting milestones he never could have ever reached reached as a normal gamer, and on one random stream in late May of 2020, for some odd reason, Daltoosh would choose to make one of the dumbest statements a successful streamer can make live on stream.
I don't even think saying it at the end with an A at the end of it. I don't even think it's bad. And then it, like a white person can't say that because it's not allowed, even though there's no racial intent behind it. And I personally have had nothing to do with slavery or, you know, oppressive laws or, you know, racial injustices in the legal system. But what do I know? What do I know? It's all my fault because I'm white. It's all my fault. I'm white. I cannot ever. Poor confused boy. I'm actually very educated on the subject. 100% educated on the subject, and everything I just said was entirely true, and you cannot debate it with me. I don't give a fuck. I do be doing it off stream, bro. Of course. That's what I'm saying. I can't say it, bro. It's just like I have to just stupid.
Now, after making that statement live on Twitch, for some reason, he didn't get cancelled. In fact, very few people even knew that he made this extremely controversial joke live on stream in 2020, so luckily for Daltoosh, he didn't face any consequences just yet. In fact, just a few months later, instead of receiving tons of backlash for being racist, Daltoosh would be given the opportunity of a lifetime. EA would finally openly associate with Daltoosh for the first time ever by giving him the chance to cast an official EA-funded event, the ALGS Summer Circuit.
Put them in an interesting spot here, Daltoosh. Anything that you think SJP2 could have done differently there, or is really just a third party too hard to defend against?
Absolutely not. I think the push on AHG was flawless.
And as everyone expected, Daltoosh would do a pretty good job at casting an official live event. And throughout the upcoming months, EA would continue to give Daltoosh exclusive opportunities such as sponsored streams, sponsored videos, and the ability to playtest new seasons. But near the end of 2020, Daltoosh's relationship with EA started to take a turn for the worse when he would start to criticize Apex Legends more often than usual.
It's like, damn, now we have to wait X amount of months for the next update. And that's when it becomes really, really stale and really repetitive, because that is the way it goes. I've been a part of every update. I've been playing this game since literally day one on drop. And that's just how it goes. You know, you wait all this time for an update. It's great for the time being, but then there's no consistent little updates, you know, changes that they have to make. You have to wait for these big drops for any slight problems to be fixed. Unless they're completely game breaking, they simply ignore it for the most part. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Now, this was a problem because if you were to compare Daltoosh to a majority of the Apex streamers EA associates with, you would notice that most of them would try to sugarcoat their hatred for new updates and bugs within the game so that they could stay on EA's good side. But Daltoosh, on the other hand, didn't really seem to care about his relationship with EA. If he hated something about the game, he would go on Twitter and state exactly what he hates about the game in the most harshest way possible. That's just who Daltoosh was. He wasn't willing to change his personality so that he could be rewarded with opportunities. Daltoosh just said things how they were, and EA hated that. So instead of allowing a streamer to openly criticize their game during sponsored streams, EA would stop inviting him to events. First, they wouldn't invite him to playtest Season 9, and then he would go on Twitter to criticize EA, making his already dead relationship with EA even worse. Then he wouldn't get invited to Twitch Rivals in May of 2021, proving that EA was actively restricting his ability to take part in these events. And in June of 2021, as we stated earlier, he would get cancelled for being racist. But this time, the clip we talked about a few minutes ago about how Daltoosh uses the N-word daily started to surface onto Twitter, and since he was already getting cancelled for being racist, now that there was a clip of him admitting that he uses the N-word daily live on stream, EA would decide to officially blacklist Daltoosh from all EA-funded events. If you haven't noticed already, the time that EA chose to publicly associate themselves with Daltoosh was during the same exact time that Daltoosh made that extremely controversial statement live on stream. The only reason why EA let Daltoosh cast an official ALGS tournament was because on paper, it seemed like Daltoosh was a clean fit. He wasn't cancelled for anything crazy up to that point in 2020, and he was doing exceptionally well at hosting his his own watch parties, so from EA's point of view, Daltoosh was the perfect candidate to cast in ALGS. But now that a clip of him admitting to using the N-word daily around the same time that EA brought him on as an official ALGS caster started to be discussed, EA had realized that they had made a huge mistake. If this happened in 2020, the year they had associated with Daltoosh, they should have known about this clip, but obviously they didn't. So now that they were aware that Daltoosh is too controversial for their liking, they would do everything they can to never let Daltoosh take part in any EA funded event ever again. They would remove him from Twitch Rivals 2 months after Daltoosh would get cancelled for making the golf joke live on stream. Then 2 weeks after that, he would get removed from Nick Merck's MFAM Gauntlet, and at this point in Daltoosh's career, it was safe to say that he was officially blacklisted from all EA funded events. And any chance of him doing anything official on Apex Legends or any EA game for that matter was officially dead. And once Daltoosh came to that realization, this is when he truly started to lose passion for the game. Whenever he would play the game, it was noticeable that he wasn't having fun. The only time he would be seen enjoying anything Apex related was during his watch parties, and even though he was dominating in the Apex Legends casting world all on his own, EA just wouldn't acknowledge and reward him for what he was doing for their game. And as a creator that was doing so much for a game that does not want to acknowledge him, no matter how successful he was, it was only so long before Daltoosh would want to quit Apex Legends for good and take his talents to a game that would give him the recognition and acknowledgement that he so rightfully deserves.